Anyway, I wanted to get a bit of a first impressions on my new bike. So if you've been following me on Instagram or Strava, you know that I recently, last weekend, I got a new bike. It's the Trek DOMANE AL3, white and red colorway. Whew, it's windy, boy. It's super windy. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear me talking, but I went up last weekend to one of our local Trek dealers here in Austin. Was looking for the DOMANE AL3 or AL4. I was very close to getting an AL4 used from somebody on Facebook Marketplace. I found this one. I test rode it for 20 or 30 minutes, and during that test ride I was very close to backing out and saying, no, I don't want this. That first, man, I've seen 3 lizards already on the road. That first ride was not very good. My first impressions of the bike, it was noisy. It just didn't feel good. And I was hesitant, but I really liked the look and it fit really good. And I knew with my ability in bike maintenance and all the things that go into it, I could probably get it dialed in. But the only thing I was thinking in the back of my mind, I don't want to have to shell out more money for upgrades, right? So when you're buying the Walmart bikes and the budget bikes, you kind of expect that you're going to spend a little bit of money to get it where you want it. But for this level of bike, even though it's still pretty entry level, you still expect for the price that you're paying for the bike to be almost perfect out of the box or straight from the shop. And that really wasn't the case. I ended up having to do some micro adjusting on the front derailleur, and now it's working flawlessly. So no real annoying noise coming from it. As long as you're not cross-chaining, it remains pretty silent. And then I put a chainstay protector on it because I thought that's where a lot of my noise was coming from the floppy derailleur. And that helped a little bit, but it was still pretty darn noisy. And I was like, well, what the heck? Finally figured out that the noise I was hearing was kind of like this. And it wasn't the chain hitting the frame, it was actually the cables on the inside of the frame bouncing around and vibrating. So I got some wire mesh cover stuff from Amazon for like $10 or $15 for 20 feet. And I stuffed that in, wrapped around all 3 of the cables that go into the down tube. And after that, the bike has been freaking amazing and silent and just feels good. Everything's working beautifully. Shifting is responsive and crisp. It's fast. And for the most part, pretty darn quiet. Now, this is an alpha or not an alpha, it's just a, maybe it is alpha, I don't know. Just 100 alpha aluminum frame. That's what Trek labels it. They have different levels of their quality of aluminum, I guess. It's actually a little chilly out here. It feels good. The bike comes with tubeless ready rims. Not in the sense that they're taped or they come with valves or anything like that. You have to bring your own valves, bring your own tape job, but the rims are tubeless compatible, I guess you could say. I did set this up with tubeless. It comes from the factory with Trek's in-house tires. I don't know exactly the brand, Bontrager something or other. 700 by 32C. The bike stats indicate that you can fit up to 35C tire on here without fenders or racks. I have these American Classic tubeless tan sidewalls that I got off of Amazon, real budget option. I think they were like $30 each. And they are 700 by 40. And I was nervous setting them up, thinking they weren't going to fit. And they actually clear. I don't have any rub, zero rub, plenty of clearance, but I probably wouldn't go much bigger than 40. And I like these wider profile tires simply because the roads around here are pretty terrible. And I need kind of that confidence and stability when riding. You've got a carbon fork that's got aluminum steer tube. It's a tapered steer tube, and you've got an 1.1 inch upper headset cup and an 1.5 inch lower, I believe. I'm just trying to remember all these stats off the top of my head. So this has got more of an endurance geometry. You're sitting more upright versus maybe a more traditional aggressive geometry on like a race bike or a true road bike. I think this bike is more of an all-road bike. 99% of my riding on this bike is probably going to be asphalt. And then where I see opportunity, as you'll see later in the ride, I've got a in progress new neighborhood development that I'll ride through, kind of get a feeling of how it rides and handles on that. But on the road, super smooth. That carbon fork, it's not a gimmick when they say that the carbon fork helps to kind of lessen that road vibration and give you a more comfortable ride. A short travel to get into the drops, so it's not as intimidating to be in the drops, I guess, as it was with the other bike. Slightly longer travel to get into them, so it makes easy getting in and out, and I like that. As somebody who's still relatively new to drop bars, it helps with the confidence and comfort and just getting used to them. Spend probably 90% of my time in the hoods anyway, but when I do try to pick up some more speed, I'll get up into those drops. Yesterday I rode coming back the other way down this hill. It's pretty steep. According to my computer, it's a 6.1 grade. I managed to get up to about 36 miles an hour going the other way yesterday. I was in the drops. And that's probably the fastest I've gone on a bike in a really long time. That wasn't some kind of motorbike, right? So just a regular analog bike, 36 miles an hour. And the bike felt good. So sometimes when you start getting in those higher speeds, especially with cheaper bikes, entry-level bikes that you haven't modified, you start going super fast. or you start picking up top speed in those bikes and you start to feel the vibrations and shaking, and it starts to feel not very stable. I had none of that yesterday. I was doing 36, between like 32 and 36 for a good couple of minutes, and it just felt sturdy, substantial, confident, no issues. No issues at all. And the only thing that I've really done this week is I played with my saddle adjustment. I think I've got the height right, but I'm still messing with the tilt. I was noticing that I was felt like I was sliding down the seat a little bit. So I've raised the nose back and it's feeling about where it needs to be. I might need to make a little bit more of a micro adjustment on it, but I'm definitely feeling more stuck in my seated position, so I'm not slipping and sliding and having to constantly push myself back up. So this is a pretty rough patch of road here. You can see there's kind of some loose gravel going over that. Bike is pretty much silent, and that's what I'm talking about. This, before, when I first had the bike, I didn't make any of the adjustments that I talked about earlier. Riding on this, all you hear is clink, 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 clink. You thought it was chain slap, all that thing's hitting. Felt like the bike was gonna fall apart just because of the sounds that you're hearing. Now, it's almost dead-ass quiet, and I love that. There's nothing worse than annoying noise. And you don't know why it's making noise. Is it gonna break? Going over this, that's pretty bumpy too. Still nothing. All good. I appreciate that. And if Trek happens to see my video, which is very unlikely, maybe consider wrapping your internal cable with some sort of noise dampening material. So a foam, or even this mesh stuff that I have. It made a huge difference, and I have no regrets. I love this bike. I'm trying to get any chance I get to ride, I'm out here on this bike, and it's just so much fun. You're covering a lot of ground in a short amount of time. I'm 22 minutes in. I've already gone 5 miles, versus if I was doing the same route on any of my trail bikes, I would be like 2 miles in by the 22-minute mark.